Later, Hosen and Geritals. Welcome back to Curiosity Forge. I am the Curiosity in the Forge. I haven't done a video in a while, and that's because this hasn't been the week for getting out in the shop. We had a ton of cold air come in, and it was like 30 to 27 degrees with a lot of wind. It was miserable, and I was not about to stand in front of an open garage door trying to do anything in that. That being said, the weather's a little calmer now, but it still gets really cold. But I was going through my room looking for some lens cleaners that I don't know where I put, and I stumbled across a tool that I bought for myself like maybe 3 years ago, and I had kind of forgotten I had it because I stumble across it every so often, and I have it kind of set aside somewhere, and it just surfaces every so often when I'm looking for stuff. And the story behind that is I was at my last golf course that I worked at, and I needed a blade, so I snuck over to the superintendent's cart, and I liberated something for a few minutes. Figured it was better to ask forgiveness and permission because I needed it. But I grabbed something I fell in love with and absolutely had to have one of my own at the second I opened it up. And what we're going to take a look at today is the Kilimanjaro Magnus. This is a multi-tool, and it's an absolute beast. It is a beast. I wear extra large gloves like big hands, and this makes my hands look quite small. This is like 6.5 inches closed. And, with all multi-tools, of course, one of the most important parts is the pliers. You got this handle right here, and that opens up, and they work. You can run them one-handed. You can wrench down on them pretty hard with this handle. That being said, it's not the most balanced or comfortable thing in the world because, all the weight's right here to accommodate the good toys. But I did put some work in with these. They did what I needed them to, and they didn't give me a whole lot of problems. And of course, this is actually a very... it hasn't been put through a lot of abuse. It was used very carefully, and I'll explain why, but I didn't get a whole lot of time carrying it on the golf course. So the work it did was excellent, but yeah. But the first thing we'll take a look at is the onboard tools here, because this is more like a big ass Swiss Army knife with bonus pliers thrown in than pliers with other tools attached, which I personally appreciate greatly. But the first thing that I'm going to point out is the thumb studs on the outer tools are super, 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 super handy. And we'll start on this side because the pièce de résistance is on this side. But first thing we'll take a look at, we've got this saw. And this has got very aggressive teeth, and it cuts. I used it more than once to get rid of branches that needed to be pushed back past the tree line or hauled off, and they were too tangled to fully remove. And I enjoyed that quite greatly because it just blew through it like it was paper. I mean, this saw really, really, really likes cutting. And another great thing is you got a liner lock on these tools. And the liner lock's right there, and the tab to close the liner lock is right here. So it's really easy to access and close tools, but they're not going to fold up on you. I mean, you've got like 100% engagement with the liner lock, so it's not going to slip off and hurt you. And the liner lock is pretty close to dead center on the bottom of this saw blade, which is fantastic. And then you move on to the next thing. You got your Phillips head, and you got your flat head with the bottle opener. And these guys they take a little coordination to use, but they will take care of you in a pinch. I definitely got the use out of these that I needed when I was carrying this. And it's just shy of 10 inches with this opened up, but this goes to 10 and a quarter when you open this. And this is the knife blade that I think it's like 4¼ inches long. This is a full-size knife blade, and this let me do a lot that I needed to do. And of course, you got the liner lock, and you do get full engagement with the lock itself. It's not quite dead center on there, but the whole thing is engaged. Unless you do something really dumb, it's not going to fold up on you and cut your finger open. And this is wonderful. Now, the one really serious gripe I have with this is the sheath that it came with was some of the worst Chinesium I have seen in many moons. It was bad. It fit the tool well enough, but the strap for the belt, or the belt loop, one single tiny fragile stitch on top and bottom holding it together, and that is it. And I think on my second or third day carrying this, after enjoying all the excuses I could find to bust it out and use it on the course, I brushed, I think the side of the cart, a very gentle brush, but those stitches were so fragile they just popped right out, and I almost lost it. One of my coworkers spotted it and hollered at me so that, I didn't lose I think I spent like 35 or 37 bucks on it, tool. And that's part of why it didn't get used much, is it got sidelined. I didn't have an open pocket to carry this. There's a pocket for the phone, there's a pocket for the electronic cigarette gear, there's a pocket I think that I had for other things at work. I forget what I was carrying now, but then wallet and keys in another pocket, and you're kind of out. You don't have any more room. So, I thought, okay, I'll just hit eBay or Amazon and find a new sheath or a tool pouch that fits it, and that was harder than I anticipated. I ended up finding this Mega Pro, and that may have been eBay, but every other one that I found was set up for a normal size multi-tool or a pocket knife or screwdrivers. They were all too small. I ordered some that had the dimensions needed listed on the product, but no way. So it took so long to find it that when I did find one and get it back in something to carry it with, I was well past the part of the season where I needed that. We were all hands on deck cutting grass, spraying weeds, and just didn't need it. So the one other thing that I got out of this especially was carrying it for a few weeks after I got the better sheath for it, was just going, hey man, check this thing out. And, watching guys kind of lose it, because this thing is a very impressive beast. I was impressed enough by it that, of course, I got one for my father-in-law for Christmas that year. And he seemed to enjoy it quite a bit. And, yeah, it's a really, really solid tool. There are some compromises, really. The biggest compromise being this right here. You gotta get used to working with it, but once you're used to it, it's not a big deal. But there is that period where it just doesn't quite feel right. But personally, I treat this as a knife and saw combo with some bonus tools thrown in, which makes it make more sense to me. And of course, the screwdrivers, they're not the most stable things on the planet, but they work. They did get some jobs taken care of for me out in the field that I didn't have tools to deal with otherwise, because of course, on those carts, because everybody just grabs the first cart they get to when they come in the morning, you can't keep tools on your cart. And that's where multi-tools like this become all important. But yeah, and the other thing that I want to point out that I missed on the first two takes, which is I've been down here for a half hour now, is it's very, very stripped down. You have the basic essential tools, and that's it. You don't have a whole bunch of extra weird stuff you're never going to use. They didn't cram like a tiny magnifying glass and a needle threader and a toothpick and and, you know, 17 other things you don't need, which I prefer having them stripped down as possible while still providing the basic functions that I want, because that always means less moving parts, less possible points of failure. And this has been a very robust design, and you know, I did work it pretty hard when I was able to carry it, and it definitely performed well for me. I just checked Amazon on the last take, and I found out that not only are they still for sale, but now you can get them packaged with an LED flashlight for around $7 or $8 cheaper than I paid for this one. If I wasn't working so hard on controlling impulse behavior, I would go ahead and buy that one because it comes with a flashlight, like I don't already have 17 or 20 of them. So, yeah, I will share a link for that, and it should be noted, this is not a sponsored video. That is not an affiliate link. I get a grand total of zip if anyone uses that link. I'm just sharing it because I'm pretty sure somebody I know somewhere is going to see that and go, yeah, I'd like to have one of those. And if you do buy one, just try to look up the Mega Pro sheath and make sure you have something that will hold like 6.5 inches long by maybe 2 inches wide so that you can carry it. I will say, I looked at the pictures on Amazon, and the sheath that it comes with now looks a million times better than the one I got. So they may have fixed that probably after literally everybody that bought one complained. I'm hoping that if someone else buys it, they don't have to go through that process. But that is what I have for today. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being interested. Praise the forge and pass the borax. Y'all stay safe in your shops, and I will see you later.